What's going on, motherfuckers? Welcome to the Crocs and Hot Pockets podcast. My name is Snackers, and today is Sunday, October 13th, 2019, and this is episode number 106. And tonight, the guest on the podcast is, of course, a fellow streamer here on Twitch. He is a meat enthusiast and a professional canine photographer, so please do me a favor and give me a warm welcome to BroBQ. What's going on, dude?
What's up, dude?
Oh, I just hit my fucking tooth on the microphone. You're a bad influence.
I am?
Yeah, that's all right. I'll blame that on you. So the first thing I have to point out is when I asked chat to back you up, somebody said, I barely use my cold brew machine anymore. So I'm going to need to know
that's street. He's just a hater.
Yeah, okay, he was born hating.
No, he wasn't. That's the problem. Like, before, he was such a nice guy. He played games with me, and then now he's just like, I'm too good. I play World of Warcraft now.
You have a really good, like, nerd weeb voice. You're professional at that.
I tried getting into GTA 5 RP. I was playing my nerdy character, Steve. He was a narcoleptic taxi driver, but I couldn't get into any servers.
I heard that is the most difficult part about RP.
It's stressful. It's just like, I'm not applying to another job, man. I don't want to do it.
Are they really like that intrusive?
Yes.
Really?
Oh my God. They're literally asking for the definition of like death matching. I gave them the exact definition that was on their website, and I elaborated just a little bit more on it. Wasn't enough. They wanted like 3 paragraphs on. I'm like, is this an English paper? Is this double spacing allowed?
Oh
like, what font can I use? And it's just, one, they never get back to you, and if they do, it's months later. 2, they're incredibly stringent, and it's like, I get it because I'm brand new, so I got to play on like these peasant servers, but on the peasant servers, nobody RPs. They just like race around in cars, and they barely talk.
Are these the big name servers, but just not their most popular servers?
I've tried like low tier, mid tier, high tier. I don't even want to be on because I don't want to sit in queue for 6 hours. That's just lame.
Right. That shit is. I can't believe that people actually wait that long.
I just want in a whitelist server that at least like, you're going to join it and there's going to be actual RP.
Right.
And like, it doesn't seem like you can get into them. It's just not good enough. Like, I'm not going to put in 4 hours into this application for you to never respond to me over what? To play a character on a GTA 5 RP server? Like, I'd rather just play a different game.
4 hours?
Man, like, it's ridiculous. Like, there was this one server I applied to. They wanted you to do a what was it? Like a test, which is fair because, they want you to understand the rules so you're not fucking up when you get in there. But,
right.
Like, it was all about their like terms of service and their rules. And there were like 3 questions on there that weren't even in their rules. Like, what didn't even exist. And I'm like, oh, okay. And then when you submit it, it tells you that you got questions wrong, but they don't tell you which ones you got wrong. So you're like,
well,
so like
gatekeeping.
It was just a waste of my fucking time.
Jesus. So what platform did they use to test you? Was it Google Forms or?
I think it was like an on-site forms. Like, everyone that I did was an on-site form.
Oh my, that is so. I knew that RP was involved, but I guess I've never heard anything about, the intro process, like the getting into it process. You only ever see the end product, the people already in the server doing the RP.
Yeah.
But yeah, I can't imagine what it's like to. And then
it's hard entry level because, again, you need experience to get on the servers, but the only way to get the experience is to play on the pleb servers, and the pleb servers have nobody that are RPing.
Right.
So like, you're just left with really shit quality RP until you just so happen to get into a good server with RP, and it's not worth my time.
Yeah,
I would love to do it, but it just was not worth the investment.
With your time being money, especially as a content creator, nobody has like.
It's not even that. It's just more or less like, I'm a variety streamer, so I don't dedicate all my time to GTA 5.
Right. Yeah, I guess that's kind of another part I didn't think about either, is how much time can you justify just trying to get into something when it's not the only game you play. Like, if your community knows that you play GTA 5 and you can wait in the queue for a couple hours and you can hang out, I don't think that's a big deal. But for everybody else, that seems like a big kick in the nuts.
Yep, seems like it.
Well, one of my favorite parts about having people on this podcast is I love talking about the backstory on how we got to today, how BroBQ and I crossed paths and got on the podcast. And the reasoning behind how and why he's on the podcast is something that I wanted to talk about publicly on a podcast, because I think it's something super, super, super important. And it's something that I think as a person and as a streamer, you don't really understand until you undergo it. And, you know, personally, you see what happens because of your actions or because of your, you know, the lack of action. So I kind of just wanted to like go back in time first and talk about like how we met, what happened in the time that passed, and then kind of how we got to today. But before we do that, I wanted you to take a moment to kind of explain who you are, who's BroBQ, what do you do, what are you into, and kind of give everybody a little bit of a primer of what BroBQ means.
I'm a professional shitter. I enjoy meat, and I'm a variety stream. That's basically it.
Okay. How long have you been streaming for?
Since 2012.
Jesus Christ, that is a long ass time.
Mm-hmm.
Has it always been on Twitch?
Well, yeah. So like 2013, like shortly after I started streaming, because there's only like 200 people streaming on the website at the time.
Right. Way back then.
But the requirements for partnership were much higher. It was 500 concurrent viewers for 2 weeks. And I somehow got that and I got partnered. And then I actually left Twitch because I was a salty boy. They took away my meat stick emote. Because they said it was too sexual. But at the time, there were literal emotes of people, like women grabbing their vaginas.
Emotes?
Like women in panties, and them like you could see the lips and all that. And like that wasn't considered sexual, but my meat stick emote was. And I was just so up in arms and whining bitchy about it. And like when I look back at it now, it was like, it wasn't worth it over an emote, but I left and went to this place called Hitbox.
Oh my God. Does that exist still?
No, I think it's called Smashcast now. Some garbage site.
Okay.
But I was also promised a lot of things when I moved over there because I'd have been the first like partnered Twitch streamer to go over there. So I was like, well, this seems like a good move. And it was not. It was, you know, it was a risk you had to take. But to answer your question, wasn't all on Twitch. I think it stopped for probably like 6 months after I left Hitbox, and then I came back, and then it's been like relatively consistent since.
Okay.
So I'd probably say like since 2014 has been solid across the board.
Roger. Yeah, I was back. I got in at the end of 2013. I streamed for a little bit, got a new account, and then kind of started taking it semi-seriously in 2014. But I think just from what you experienced the platform as in 2012 is way different. Because when I hear people talking about Twitch and I see what Twitch looked like back in 2012 compared to what Twitch looked like when I started, it is extremely different. Like there was a shit ton that happened in between those 2 years. So it's always super interesting for me to talk to people that had started all the way back there.
Yeah, I mean, people complain about the changes that Twitch has made and everything, but there was a time where they introduced a 60-second delay, mandatory delay.
What?
For every stream, because they were very like esports heavy with League of Legends at the time, and it just seemed like they were moving in a bad direction, and that was another reason why like I left, was because it just felt like they were catering to esports. And it didn't feel like there was any. It just didn't feel like there was any focus on variety streamers. You know, like people who are really focused on their communities. It just felt like they were just like really pushing away from that, and I didn't like it.
Oh, I'm also very surprised to hear that Twitch was focused on esports way back then.
Oh yeah, it was. League of Legends was like anytime a tournament went on for League of Legends, it was the whole website would crash. Chats would not load. So like people complain about all this shit these days, but like that was probably one of the biggest issues I had back in the day.
Okay. So you brought up a really great point. That's something that I kind of forgot about because the parameters of partnership have changed so much. What do you think Like, how do you feel about needing 500 viewers for 2 weeks back then compared to needing 75 viewers for a couple months nowadays?
I mean, it almost feels like it evens out, because back in the day it was hard to do. It was hard to get 500 viewers concurrent, kinda, but at the same time there weren't a lot of people on the website, so it wasn't just as saturated. So the requirements were more, but I mean, I think within my first week streaming, I had like 30, 50 people watching, and that was when like Daisy mod was a huge thing.
Wow.
So I don't know, like, I feel like it almost evens out in a way, because, again, 500 viewers today would be very difficult to do.
Right.
But back then, you also didn't have millions of people streaming on your platform.
Right.
And that was when you could get partnered with no sub button.
What?
Yeah, that's because partnership was still in beta back then.
Whoa, I did not know that.
You could get a partnership and no sub button. I got a sub button, but that was just the luck of the draw, I guess.
Okay. Very interesting. There's another streamer that I've known for a super long time, Nipnops, who was a big part of the KB Mod podcast back in the day. And he said he was always talked about how there was an onboarding of partnerships when it first kind of started, where they were just starting to introduce the idea of partnerships, and how some people just got brought on to test, hey, can this certain group of people sustain, partnership numbers, partnership level. And they just, I don't want to call it a handout, because that's it's devaluing the work that people put in, but they were just we just need to test this thing called partnership, the thing that we all look to as the holy grail nowadays. And it was just so to think of partnership in a beta state it's just extremely surreal. That's crazy. Okay. When you back in the day when you first got partner, were you as variety as you are now, or were you more focused on a couple games?
I don't remember too much. I mean, I think I played a lot of DayZ not standalone, the mod, but I remember playing a bunch of different games too. So I don't know. I feel like I'm almost the same as I am now, where sometimes I'll get in the groove of playing the specific game, but ultimately I continue to move on to play different games.
Okay. Yeah, I've seen you do a shit ton of variety lately.
Yeah.
Is that
horror month?
What's that?
It's horror month. We do spooky games all month.
Okay. Do you how recently did you kind of switch over to a vast variety of games? Because I know for a while you were playing Dead by Daylight almost exclusively. And then as of recently, I've just seen you, and I probably dates before October, but I've seen you just go all over the map playing you've played games I've never even heard of before. And somebody who is just kind of getting reintroduced to your content. That was a surprise to me.
I mean, I don't know when I was officially over Dead by Daylight, as a main game. I just knew, I'd probably say about a year or so ago, because I didn't feel the same way about the game. It's not like the game is bad, but just 2,500 hours in a game, I feel
Whoa.
Eventually you're just kind of over it.
Holy hell, that's a lot of hours.
I'm still not over it. I still enjoy the game, but I've been enjoying other games more, like Hunt Showdown lately.
Okay.
And I don't know, it's just, doing the same thing over and over again, even though they keep releasing new content, with how I play the game, it just got super repetitive to me. So it's not the game's fault. It's more or less just me being over it. So I was instead of sitting here, granted it was better for numbers and, income, I still wasn't happy with it. And I was well, I have this opportunity to play play games for a living. I'm not going to be in a position where I fucking hate playing games for a living. That's just stupid.
That is one of the worst corners that you can kind of back yourself into.
But everyone does it. Everyone does it because they know that's the quick and dirty way to do it. And they see that growth and they look at their numbers and they're like, oh, this is good. And then they hate the game or the game dies and now they move on. And then now they're complaining that they don't make, any money or their numbers suck. And it's well, that's unfortunately the game you play.
Right. That is the price that you pay. Do you see that still being very, very common among people?
with playing one game.
Yeah, just like playing one game just to try and get the numbers up and get the community started. And then whether it's on purpose or not, just kind of abandoning it. And then just like, okay, I can't play this game anymore.
Yeah, absolutely. I've seen plenty of people in DBD do that. But there's also people like there's this guy named Morph. He does very well playing some variety. Like he still mainly plays Dead by Daylight, but you know, even when he goes off to play a variety game, he still holds a very healthy number. So I think it's a matter of I don't know, I just think it's a matter of who you are as a person, because some people, I'm gonna be honest, dude, they're fucking boring. You know, they might be good at a game or knowledgeable on a game, and like everybody flaunts to them.
Yeah.
And it's like as soon as they go somewhere else, like they're no longer relevant. And like it shows. Like it's a very humbling experience, because they're like, oh, well, shit, I was this cocky motherfucker who thought they knew everything about streaming because I grew quickly, and all of a sudden I'm a nobody. And what the fuck?
Yeah.
It's like, well, that's because you just started streaming 6 months ago. And, you just so happen to be in a good position to get a better viewership.
Right. I kind of saw that come up with Fortnite. There were so like, have you ever seen a single game blow up so many people's channels? Like one game just makes so many people I mean, I've never seen so many people that have just grown and just gotten partnered within just streaming within Fortnite.
I'd probably say it's one of the bigger games. I mean, outside of that, I think it was like what, Overwatch maybe, but that was more or less just, that was for like super sweaty people. In Fortnite, you don't even have to be sweaty. You can just have a personality. But I mean, I played Fortnite when it was in its BR beta, so it was like closed.
Oh,
and like that was fun at the time when it first came out, because it didn't necessarily have a kids audience,
right?
So it was brand new, as a new BR, where people are just coming off of Battlegrounds, and they're like, oh, this is cool, this is fresh, this is new. But I also played Fortnite when it was PvE only, so like I was interested in it to begin with, and then they tried the BR, and I got into that, and that was fun, and I played that for a while until I noticed I started getting a lot more kids in my chat, and I was like, fuck this, like this is not worth it.
Really?
The people who are just like, hi, okay, I'll be right back, hi again, and it's like they get so perturbed that you don't pay them attention or say hello to them every time they announce themselves.
Yeah,
it was a fucking turnoff to me. It's like, listen, yes, I'll say hi to you, but you can't expect a personalized greeting several times a day because you want attention because mommy and daddy won't hug you.
Daddy BroBQ, just
Dude,
spreading the love.
I'm not your babysitter.
Yeah,
I'm not your babysitter. There's a reason why I don't have kids.
Exactly. That's exactly how I feel. And I am not choosing to spend all my time on Twitch to hang out with children. I'm sorry, but that's not what I want in my life.
No, I mean, I'm sure I still have a few younger people that watch, but I feel like majority of my community are, like 20 years old and above.
Right.
And it's a lot easier to hang out with those kind of people, because we're all kind of like, quote unquote, on the same like maturity level, I guess you could say.
Yes.
Which, I mean, it sounds funny saying that coming from me, but you know what I mean? So, like maturity in the sense that, we don't need to be, recognized every single time we say a sentence.
And catered to.
Yeah.
Okay. So awesome, perfect backstory. So one of the reasons this kind of came to be was I wish I had saved the tweet, because it would have been perfect to read out right here. I would say, I don't know, probably a month or two ago, BroBQ, you put out a tweet kind of saying how you currently felt about yourself and about Twitch, and how you had changed, and how, there are people that you had lost along the way. I'm probably terribly paraphrasing. Can you do any better of a job?
I don't remember the tweet because I have a horrible memory, but I mean, if it's along the lines of like being happier, is that what you're talking about?
I think it was that, and because I remember replying to it and saying this was one of the main reasons why I kind of unfollowed you back in the day. I'm super glad to hear that this is kind of your mindset now.
Like just being a negative bitch back in the day. Yeah. Because here's the thing. A lot of people hide behind the saying I'm a realist.
Yes.
And in reality, you're just an asshole.
Yeah. I'm just being real, bro.
I'm just being real. And if you don't like that, fuck them. I'm like, well, that's why you have no friends. And, that's why I was where I was at. I was just like a fucking dick. And I'm still a dick, but I feel like I'm a fair dick, if that makes any sense. I don't go out of my way to cause drama. Like before I would indulge in Twitter drama and bitch and complain and whine. And it's like, that's enough. There's enough of that shit in our days and lives. And I might say something dickish on occasion on Twitter, but for the majority, I keep it off of there because a lot of people use their Twitter and social media for like a venting process. But the thing is, you're really just, I don't know. I don't want to do that to my community.
Right. And that's like one of the best things I think people can realize is that Twitter can be an amazing fucking platform if you treat it correctly and you act right and you follow people who also act right. Like it can
I'm gonna be honest, dude. If I could delete Twitter today, I would.
Really?
Yes, I don't. I fucking hate it. I don't follow a bunch of drama queens. I don't. Yeah. I absolutely don't. But the problem is like to be in this industry, like you have to be involved somewhat in some of you don't have to, but naturally you're going to be involved with some of these people you don't necessarily like.
Right.
And I have tweet decks. So like I see all the shit I don't want to see. I see people liking this shit about some drama queen bitching and crying about, like, I'm feeling so down today. Say nice things about me, please. And it's just like, oh my God, fucking gag me, dude.
That cannot be good for people.
No, like legit. I'm not going to say any names because that's not relevant. But like this individual was like, I'm feeling really down today. If you have anything nice to say about me, please say it. And it's just like all these people like, oh my God, you're so fucking amazing. It's like, dude, listen. I understand everyone has bad days and everything, but it's like straight up forward. Give me attention. Make me feel good. I need these likes and retweets. Like, where's that going to be in 10 years when you're not on Twitter anymore?
Right. Or then, like, in a week.
The same day, a dude who follows this individual did the same thing. Was like, I know. I shouldn't be this selfish, but I need you to say nice things about me.
Yeah.
It's like, or you could tackle the problems that you have in your life and not depend on social media to make those changes for you.
Yeah. Yeah. When I saw a couple of those going around, my first feeling was, what? And then my second feeling was empathy. Like, I don't know what kind of person they are. I don't know what kind of situation they're in. And then my third feeling is like, this is not the solution to your problem. This is a temporary 7-minute fix that is going to make you feel great for a little while, and then it's going to fade and you're going to be exactly where you started.
If you're not actually trying to heal the wounds and you're just putting band-aids on it, like it's not going to fix anything. Like, sure, there's a level of empathy there for sure.
Right.
I think it's important to realize that not everybody is the same. However, some of these motherfuckers are just attention whores, and it really shows in their tweets.
100%.
It's like they just fucking feed off of the likes and retweets, and I try not to let it get to me, but then like you see it every day, you mute them, you block them, and yet it still shows up in your feed, and you're like, fuck this person.
Yeah.
Like, oh my God, I just want to delete it. And then you're like, well, I won't use TweetDeck. But then you realize TweetDeck like is almost necessary for what you do.
Right. Oh, 100% to be able to keep all those panels up and see what's going on.
Oh man. Yeah. So it's just like, no matter if you don't follow them, if you block them and you mute them, they somehow still make it through that and you still get to see it. So because in terms of social media, like I would totally delete it if I could.
Just totally get rid of it. Yeah, because you have all these new algorithms and discovery things within Twitter that show you things that your friends like. So you're seeing tweets from people that you don't even follow, and even if you have them muted, it still comes up every once in a while somehow. Mm-hmm. And the only way is like to block, and it's like, who wants to constantly manage a block list all the time? Nobody wants to have to do that.
And part of me is like, maybe it's just a personal problem. And it really doesn't get to me as much as it used to, but it's still there. And, I don't know. There's just so much more to social media. It's like, sometimes it could be a good thing, but most people just use it as a way to make themselves feel good.
Right.
Like I love sharing shit with people, but
same.
People are like, why aren't you hashtagging this? Why aren't you hashtagging that and doing all this? And it's like, maybe this ain't for me because I just look at social media differently. You know, I don't. Maybe I should be looking at it differently, but just right now, I don't feel like life is about likes and retweets.
Right. Yeah, we had a podcast. It was like, I called it like a small streamer powwow, where I just had a couple of my other friends on, and we were just talking about, being a streamer on Twitch in 2019, what's good, what's bad. And the common consensus for one of the points was maintaining social media and having to keep up with hashtags and algorithms and what time you should post and what kind of thumbnail you should have and what title grabs people but isn't clickbait but still gives people the urge to click. It's like, it's so exhausting to try and have to keep up with all that stuff that it kind of deters me from wanting to just stream. But it's a necessary evil nowadays.
It is. It honestly is. And I don't do any of that. And that's probably why I'm where I'm at right now. But I've never been happier, and maybe that's something that I'll prioritize in the future. But I know right now, like, I'm happy with what I'm doing. And I'm going to go with that feeling because too many people are willing to be miserable to eventually love their life. And it's like, well, you could die tomorrow. You could do all this, but ultimately, if you're just miserable, I feel like you're shorthanding yourself and the people around you.
Right. To kind of circle back to why we kind of got onto this whole tangent. Back, I would say, oh man, this is probably 2016, maybe even 2017. About around the time where we both got screwed by the same graphic artist. Remember having that conversation on Twitter?
Yeah, who is the? Well, never mind.
I want to say the name, but I don't want to say the name.
I've been screwed over by so many.
Me too.
So it's like I don't even know who the fuck you're talking about. You can message me in Discord if you wanted to, just to get an idea.
Yeah, I will do that.
But oh yeah. I mean, there's just so many. There's just so many that have done it. Like, I actually found one recently that's been great.
Okay.
But most of the artists that I go through, they're trash. Like, they want the money, but they don't want to do the work.
I hate to.
They want to be taken seriously, but like, they also aren't serious. And it's like, okay, well, you have my money. You've just cut off contact with me. Of course I'm fucking charging it back, dude. Like,
yeah, hello.
What do you think this fucking is?
There is my favorite tweets are always when people are like, by the way, I know there's a lot of you that have sent me DMs about my work in progress. Just letting you know, I'll get back to you as soon as I can.
Nah, too late, brother.
Send them. Why are you posting publicly to your clients saying, hey, I know that I haven't been around in 2 months, but I'll get back to your work soon. I know you paid money. I was like, whoa. And that's how you can tell.
Waiting 2 months for me. There ain't waiting 2 months. No.
If you go,
if you don't talk to me for a week, expect our contract, whatever the fuck it is, to be done.
Yeah. If I've paid you, I understand, like, if nothing has gone down yet. But if I've sent you money and there's no communication, no update whatsoever after 7 days, and people can say, well, what if they're busy? You shouldn't be accepting work if you're not ready to work on it. And that's kind of how I see that. Artists,
they undersell themselves. And on top of that, they undersell themselves and they overbook. And they complain about how behind they are. And it's like, well, first off, you need to be charging the prices that you need to charge. There's always going to be people that go to the cheaper person. And that's always going to be a fact. But once you start devaluing your work and you want to raise your prices, now people are like, oh, you're being money hungry. It's like, well, no, I was actually undercharging at one point in time. And now this is a realistic price. And people don't understand realistic prices for artwork these days. Like emotes, you might find a really good artist who does them for $20. But ultimately, like, you should be paying around $40, $50 on average for an emote. And that's a lot of money. But you're also getting the work. The people that you're getting these emotes from that are like $20, $15 an emote are probably the same type of individuals ghosting you.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely.
I'm not saying them specifically, but a lot of those people who are underselling are ghosting you.
Yep. And I've had my fair share of getting ghosted and getting scammed for artwork and stuff. So back in 2017, I used to follow BroBQ. And I came to this realization where it felt like every time that I was going into a stream or just kind of like perusing around on his social media, it always seemed like he was very, very negative. And as you were
Wasn't
saying,
even, it seems like it was.
It was. Yeah.
That's just the truth.
I'm trying to go easy on you. I'm trying not to shit on you too hard. And it was just like, it felt like every time I was going in there, I left feeling just kind of worse. And he was always, it wasn't so much that it was raging at the game, although some of it was. It was like there was always something else on your mind that was always bugging you or always pissing you off. And then I just kind of just fizzled away from BroBQ stream and, unfollowed him on all the social media. And recently there is somebody, a good friend of mine, his name is Dirk TV, and he loves you. And we met at TwitchCon in a brewery. I don't remember what day it was. I think it was one of the first or second days. And I remember seeing you then, and I can't remember if it was around that time that I'd stopped following you. But anyways, somebody that knows you, that follows you, liked or retweeted your tweet about like, hey, I used to be such a salty bitch. I've kind of like turned around, and, I'm sorry about the people that I've lost, along the way. And I realized I was wrong. And I remember reading that tweet and going, holy shit, I don't know the last time that I had strayed away from following somebody because of a certain reason, and then later come back around to follow them again because it genuinely seemed like somebody took the time to better themselves. And
absolutely. Depression will do that to you.
100%. I was so intrigued by that whole thing and how we had not talked for years, and I had not followed him for years, but randomly through Twitter, I just come back around to following him again. And I'm like, you know what? This would be a fan-fucking-tastic conversation for a podcast. And I really just wanted to pick your brain about the timeline of all of that. Kind of what changed, what did you focus on the most to get where you are today? So I would love for you to just kind of take the floor and kind of go over what happened to you during that time and how you ended up where you are now.
I honestly think the change started when I ended my relationship.
Okay.
Because I was in a relationship for like about 9 years, a little over 9 years. And I think I was just like super comfortable in the relationship, like both of us were. And, at first I was like, well, I'm definitely unhappy. And at first I blamed the relationship. And then I sat back and I was like, maybe it's me. So I eventually decided to reach out and, seek therapy. And it started becoming more and more clear that I was just not happy in the relationship. And it's like, as soon as I ended it, it felt like the shackles were free. Like I felt like I was unshackled and like the world was just like opened up to me. And, I can't say it was exclusively a relationship, but I know a big part of it was. And, going to therapy just allowed me to process like a lot of shit.
Okay.
And, it allowed me to sit back and realize not only how I act, but why I act the way I do. And I think the why behind it's probably the most important thing, because you can realize you have a problem, but if you don't know how the problem became to be a problem, it could always resurface.
Right.
So like knowing the intricacies of like why it was a problem to begin with, I feel like you can prevent it from happening in the future. So, that was a big turning point for me was, I actually took a week off for myself, just to chill out, do whatever. And, that's kind of like right around the same time I started getting, further into therapy. I started doing it 2 times a week, and I just felt more and more confident about who I was and what I wanted out of life. And, it's like, again, once I ended the relationship, it allowed me to process a lot of things on my own. I noticed that I remember one time in therapy, like she just randomly stopped asking me questions and just sat there and stared at me. And, I sat there for a bit and I started getting uncomfortable, and I was like, what are we doing? She's like, you tell me. I was like, what the fuck is this, dude? I was like, I'm paying you and we're just sitting here in silence. And I was so fucking close to walking out that day. And I'm glad I didn't, because she taught me a valuable lesson that day. And the lesson was, she's like, do you understand how uncomfortable you get sitting in silence? And I was like, now that I think about it, like, yeah, like that was really uncomfortable for me. And I noticed that I never do sit in silence. You know, I've always occupied my time with streams in the background. I've always been playing video games. And I noticed that was just a way of numbing everything that I should have thought about. And you know, I started thinking about it more and more ever since that day. And it's like, the more I actually sat in silence and just like enjoyed being in the moment, like I still play video games a lot, but I notice I don't watch a lot of streams before or after stream anymore because it allows me time to just kick back. And I might not have thoughts on my mind, but it allows you to understand like what your problems were and, you know, how you've acted to people in the past and what life is really about. And ever since that day, it was like, it almost felt stupid at first, but it made the most sense to me.
Oh yeah.
And you know, it allowed me to process all the shit that I needed to process in my life. Things that like I just neglected for years. You know, like what I'm looking for in a relationship and you know, what would I do? You know, what do I want to do outside of playing video games and streaming? And it was just nice. And I remember taking that week off to myself and I joined a dating app named Bumble. And
oh yeah.
You know, I really wasn't expecting a whole lot out of dating apps because I did like OkCupid, I did Tinder, and like all of it was trash.
Just absolute trash.
It was just butts. Like it was just, you know, women with no personality that just wanted to just they wanted you to like be their jester. I'm like, I'm not your fucking monkey. Like if you can't manage to hold a conversation, who's gonna fuck with you?
And who's gonna fuck you?
Oh, plenty of people fuck you, but like really that's not the end game. That's going to fade at a certain point.
Oh, absolutely. Yep.
And then so I joined Bumble and my now girlfriend, Nikki, like she messaged me on there and we started talking. It's like, ever since then, it's just been bliss, you know, like just having a satisfied relationship and being happy with what I do for a living and just being able to really appreciate life has just changed my attitude entirely. Like I still have bad days, but
oh sure,
my bad days are like mild in comparison to what a good day was back then. Like a good day back then was me still whining and complaining and bitching, you know, going into a video game already expecting not to like it. And then of course you don't fucking like it. Go figure. Wow. If you look for negative things, you'll find negative things.
Yep.
And it's like these days I've noticed I can have fun with shitty games, like games that people that are you know, essentially shit to people. I'm like, I don't give a fuck. I'm still playing it. I can have fun with it. And sure enough, I've been able to have fun with it. And that's kind of like the you know, the mindset that I've had ever since.
That is a life or death attitude to have, especially when it comes to streaming. That's still something that I have yet to fully overcome. Because I still like when I think about, I judge how I feel when I'm at work and I'm going to go home and then start streaming. When I'm at work, if I'm super, super excited to go home and play the game, I feel like I have a way better stream. I'm into it. My brain is into it. I'm enthusiastic. I'm excited. But then there's times where, because I do this thing where I let my community choose all the games that I play. And it's been that way for the past like year and a half, where subs vote on the game that they want me to play. So I haven't chosen a game. Well, I've chosen like one or two here and there, but for the most part, my community decides it all. And there are some times I'm like, man, I am pretty sure I'm not going to enjoy this. And I've proven myself wrong a lot of times. And most recently was Dark Souls. I just started my first Dark Souls 2 playthrough. Never playing a Dark Souls game before. And I remember the first day
on Dark Souls 2.
I did.
The worst.
I have no balls to say whether it's the worst or not because I don't know.
No, it's just my least favorite. It's not the worst, but you know.
So are you into those games in general?
Oh yeah, okay. Absolutely. I love that. I'm sure chat does too. They like I still rage sometimes, but it's a different kind of rage.
Okay. Yeah,
it's right. It's a rage that dissipates almost instantly. Whereas before, like once I raged, it was like that was the attitude for the rest of the stream, which is exhausting.
Oh God, that's the worst, is when you just have a stupid moment like that and you are just salted for the rest of the time.
There's absolutely there's been times like I play Hunt Showdown and there have been days where I'm just like, bitch. Like, this motherfucker is just camping the whole time. Like, look at these little fucking campers. And like, but at the same time, I call myself out on my own bullshit. It's like, yeah, hell yeah, I'm fucking salty, chat. Like, yeah, I'm salty as hell. Yeah. And I'll give him an exact percentage of how salty I am. I'm like, I am literally like 80% salty. And then like,
sodium levels.
You know, I let them know when I'm coming down.
Yep.
And the only time you're going to get bopped in my channel is when I'm at that extra salty moment in the game and someone wants to say something stupid.
Oh, okay. Yeah. Hey, at least you admit it.
Absolutely. That's the most important thing, man. Admitting your flaws.
Yeah. There was, oh God, there was a time I was playing a game. Jack and Daxter 2. I played for the first time a couple months back. And I had not been more angry inside playing that game than I have with any game before. Graphics were old. The story didn't make sense. The controls were terrible. It's everything about that game just set me off in every single direction. And I would end streams sometimes with my head in my hand going, why am I continuing to do this? And I, like a dumbass, promised my community that I would beat the game. It took me like 12 4-hour streams to beat that game, which made me so angry. I can't believe how fucking long that game was. If you like that game, I'm very, very sorry.
I never really got into it.
Don't ever. There's no reason to go back in time and get into that franchise, no matter what anybody tells you. How difficult was it to go to your first therapy session? First, to admit that you needed therapy, and then to actually go to your first one.
Nah, I don't honestly. I think it was just, it wasn't even me working up to it. I think it was just one day I realized I needed it, because before I was like, I don't fucking need it. Like, it is what it is.
Right.
But I also avoided it just because of the expense, right? Like, some therapy can be super expensive, but the one I found was working on the sliding scale system, meaning based on your income, your sessions could be cheaper. So at first it was $150 a session. I was like, damn, I can't do that. But with my income, they said that they'd be willing to work with me for $50 a session. And I was like, well, that's fucking phenomenal. Like, that's a no-brainer at that point. That's such a huge investment. So I don't really think it was even like me working up to it. I think it was just one day I was like, yeah, I'm unhappy, and I want to figure out why I'm unhappy, because, you know, so many people just go their whole lives with being subpar happy, and, you know, well, it could be worse. Someone else has got it worse. But at the same time, when you say those two things, like, you're instantly defeating yourself. You've minimalized your feelings. You've minimalized everything that's going on in your life because someone else has it worse. But there's always someone that has it worse. You know, like, you look at celebrities like Robin Williams, for example. Like, he was very successful, but yet he took his own life. And, you know, that goes to show that anybody from any walk of life can have issues.
Right.
And you know, you shouldn't minimalize that. It doesn't matter who has it worse than you. It's about you. Like, you need to live your life. And if you're not happy, you need to figure out why you're unhappy. Because if you're just like, yeah, I'm unhappy, I'll get over it. No, you won't. You won't get over it. I'm telling you, you won't. And you just might be better at like internalizing things. But I'm telling you, man, it's going to resurface at one point, and it can be bad. You just got to like take care of yourself, dude. That's like, anybody can get physically fit.
Right.
Anybody can. With enough dedication, anybody can get physically fit. But you can't really say that about mental health. Like, some people are just willing to just sacrifice their mental health and happiness because of whatever the fuck it is in their life. And it's like, why? That should be a priority in your life. You know, once before it was like looked down upon, talking about mental health, it was considered like you're crazy.
Oh yeah.
But now in 2019, it's actually gained a lot of traction and a lot of respect for people who actually go out and they take the time to take care of their mental health. And a lot of people, I don't know if it's like a masculinity thing, but like, I feel like a lot of dudes out there, and honestly, I think it's just because of like how we were raised too. You know, the traditional way your father raised you is like, man the fuck up, rub some dirt in it, get up and move on.
Oh, absolutely. And yeah.
I'm not saying like sit in a corner and wallow, but you really need to take time for yourself to realize that things might not be all right. You know, like like, why am I acting this way with people? Like, why do I always push people out of my life? And, you know, that therapy allowed me to realize it was something from my childhood. You know, just some like shit that I thought I had a good childhood. Apparently my therapist like, nah, you had a fucking shit. You had a shit childhood, bro. And I'm like, oh,
Shit.
Well then. So like, it goes to show like you're so like desensitized to how you're grown up. Like that's how you think shit is.
Right.
But going back to like the whole masculinity thing is like some dudes like look at you as a pussy or some shit like that for, talking about mental health or getting help and fuck those people. Those are the people that need the therapy, but they're too afraid to do it.
Yep. And then they just have that front of anger and hate. Exactly.
It's the macho attitude, like I'm too fucking good for this. I can get over it. Like, oh, what? You fucking play video games for a living? Like, what? What's so bad about your life? And I was like, dude, it's more than that, man.
Yeah.
Like, this ain't the fucking misery Olympics. Like, do you just go around comparing how bad your life is to someone else? Like, who does that, man? Like, miserable people do that.
Yeah, a lot of people do that. Especially if you look at Twitter for more than 10 minutes.
Yeah, just like, dude, shut the fuck up, man. But the thing about me is, like, I'm real quick to shut that shit down on my chat. And I might come off as a dick sometimes. But again, I feel like I'm a fair dick. Right. I think in certain aspects, I feel like I'm very fair. Like, some people just come in like I beat Resident Evil 7, like back in 2017 in January. I have a piss poor memory. So I went back and I played it for Horror Month this month and I don't remember shit. I remember like 2 scenes out of the whole thing. Everything else is a fucking blur, which is kind of great because I get to enjoy games, over again for like the first time. But it sucks because you can't remember anything.
Right.
So this one guy came in my stream, wasn't following or anything. It was just like, you're telling me this guy has beaten the game, but he doesn't know anything in the game. I call bullshit. I'm like, what kind of nerd, what kind of fucking neckbeard comes into my channel to question my integrity? You don't even know me.
You don't know me.
Fucking channel. And like, what the fuck do you mean? Anybody who's a regular in my stream knows I have a shit memory. Like, and this man just came in. Like, those type of people need help. Like the ones that just like look for problems on the internet. You go looking for a problem, you'll find a problem, or you'll create a problem.
I've had some random people coming into my chat lately. Somebody came in and it was like, as soon as I went live, and when I do my keyboard building streams, I start in just chatting, and sometimes I stay in there. As soon as you start a stream and just chatting, you get like this super quick influx of people that just immediately just come in with insults or rage or like homophobic slurs. Some dude came in and was like, wow, you're super gay. You wear hats inside. Like, what a cool guy. And just started going off. And I'm like, I have been live for 13 seconds.
Shut that shit down in a second. I'm like, be gone.
Like later.
Quality bait. Bye.
Oh my God. It's like, where are you? What in life is so bad that this is your favorite thing to do with your entire day?
They don't even know.
No, they don't. They're like, man, this is so fucking fun. Look what I'm doing.
But you like know Fortnite. What? I'm gonna be real, dude. Like, I was never like that to that extent. But like, I was kind of a dick like that in people's chats when I first started streaming.
Okay.
I don't know why. Like I would never go in to call someone like gay or some shit like that. Like that's just fucking stupid calling people fucking gay in 2019. Who gives a fuck, dude?
They still think it's an insult.
Yeah, only kids do. Like you're under the age of 17 if you use gay as an insult, right? You're an idiot. Like I'm just gonna point that. I just laugh at that shit now. I'm like, you're clearly under the age of 17. Like, get the fuck out of here.
God.
So but I don't know. Like I used to be confrontational in chats like that before. And again, I think it takes a real big step in your life to realize that you were a problem at one point, because that allows you to understand, damn, I was that guy and now I'm no longer that guy. It's important to admit your flaws and your past mistakes, because I feel like it adds character, like you're not trying to hide nothing. You admit that you were hypocritical at one point in time or some shit, but like, I feel like that's a great way to learn a lesson too.
Oh, absolutely. And if you are already looking back at your life and and seeing things that you want to change and making an effort to change, you are miles ahead of most people. And it's a point in life that I hope like everybody can eventually reach, because it's super, super important. Because like you were saying earlier, when you were comfortable in your last relationship, and then when you get out, you look back, and not just your relationship, but your life as a whole, you realized what kind of person you are when you were comfortable and not questioning anything that you were doing. You're just like, no, this is just me. I'm just being real, bro. This is just how I am.
Yeah, like you convince yourself that that's life how it is, you know? And
right.
It's like, well, someone's got it worse. I got it pretty good. So like, why should I be complaining? But like, you already defeated yourself, man.
So I'm super intrigued with that because I am one of those people where I was talking about this on stream the other day, and I was trying to get to the root of how I actually felt about it. Because, you know, sometimes we say things that we think we believe in, and then when you actually break it down, it's like, I guess I don't 100% believe in that. I'm kind of like a half-seas. So I'm one of those people that say, stop complaining. There's so much in life that could be wrong. But when I say that, I'm speaking strictly to things that people complain about that aren't valid things to complain about. Like, you know, getting
my coffee was cold when I got it today.
Yes. Not like, oh, my grandmother passed away today. Bitch, stop complaining. Somebody doesn't have arms, right. You know, like that kind of thing.
Yeah.
So like, where do you kind of land? Are you like, okay, you know, everybody needs to complain sometime, or is it 90% of the things that we complain about don't fucking matter, and you really need to focus on the things that do matter? Because
it's just easier to complain, man. Like that's really what it is. Like just with social media and hiding and shit, it's just like it's so much easier just to complain about your life, and just like it's a cheap way to get therapy. Essentially, you know, you get people out there like, oh, it's okay, you're such an amazing person, and it's just, you know, like that's great and all, but you know, like you also need to hear the bad too. Like, no, you're really being a fucking asshole. Like you're bitching about something that really isn't relevant.
Yep. And here's,
you know, like, again, you know, complaining that your coffee is cold or whatever. That doesn't need to be on social media, bro. Okay. Like, cool. You could go back and just be like, hey, you know, listen, you think I get a warm coffee or, you know, hot coffee? And I guarantee you they would not bitch at all. They would just be like, yeah, here you go.
Like, oh shit, I'm sorry. You paid for a hot coffee, not a cold coffee. Yes, I can get that for you.
This is small shit.
Right. One of the problems too with social media is anything that is negative, or even things like on Twitter. Like if you use certain swear words, Twitter deems your response as like a mature response and hides your response from like people's notifications. Yeah. So
no, I see that. Sorry.
That's fucked up. That's just really, really bad. That's a real easy way to seal yourself in an echo chamber, and in a world where we have communities that follow us, and you obviously, nobody wants to have their entire community be people who tell you how it is all the time, right? Like you want some people,
all that, dude. Yeah. I get it.
You want some people to be like, no, everything's cool, don't worry, but you need to have a little sprinkle of knackers, shut up, you're being a little bitch, stop and move on.
And sometimes it could be a little, depending on your current salt status, you know, that could be some shit you don't want to hear. But again, like I'm totally cool with my community, like calling me out on my bullshit. But if like that's all you fucking do is look for the shit that I'm doing wrong, like fuck off, dude. Like it's important to hear both sides. Like some people will tell you what you're doing wrong all fucking day, like assholes. And those people, I boot them. Like, get the fuck out of here, man. Like, yeah, I know what my problem is, bitch. Like, I'm very self-aware.
Yes.
I know when I'm bitching about something, I know I probably shouldn't be bitching about it. And chances are, if I cuss someone out in chat or just something ridiculously stupid or I overreact, like I've overreacted with people, with regulars in my stream before. And you know what I do later on? I message them like, listen, I was a little bit unreasonable. I apologize. And I'll usually, you know, admit it. You know, it's just like we're humans, man. Like sometimes we overreact to shit.
Right.
But like, it's important to realize that we're humans too. I'm not saying that like that's an excuse, but you do have to realize that like, you know, we're just human, man. Like we all react to shit differently.
And imagine if like at a daytime job, you as a person were recorded and had a camera on you for 8 hours a day, and everything you did was broadcasted to everybody in the company. Like, yeah, something's going to slip. Somebody's going to have a bad day. Somebody's going to rage. And when you're being recorded for 8 to 10 hours a day, every single day, you can't expect to upkeep this wonderful rainbow shining of a person the entire time. Like, obviously,
but you know what? That's the problem with these bigger streamers. And there's nothing wrong with wanting to focus on positivity.
Right.
But there are some of these communities out there that just really want to blow rainbows up your fucking ass.
Yes.
And that's it.
Yeah.
Like, I get it, dude. You like, there's enough negativity in life and you don't want your stream to be about that. But like this whole positive vibes only, man. It's like that. If that's how you want to run your channel, great. But in my channel, Motherfuckers are going to have a bad day. All right. Like, that's plain and simple, man. Like, it's not all positivity because life isn't all positive.
No,
and
it's not.
If you don't have negative experiences in your life, you're not going to know how to tackle that shit. That's a huge growing moment in your life, is like understanding negative aspects of your life and having negative experiences.
Absolutely.
And showing people that all the time, of course, is going to be draining for people. But I feel like there is a healthy way of going about being positive and negative. Absolutely. Because having a negative experience in your life, people almost relate to you easier because they've had that negative experience in their life and they don't feel so crazy because they're like, okay, someone else reacted this way, how I reacted,
Right.
And but some people are like, oh, dude, listen, man, positive vibes only. I'm so sorry. Life's like this. And it's cringy to me at a certain point because it's like, I almost feel like you could be doing so much more. You could be sending such a better message by letting people know that life isn't all rainbows and sunshines.
Right.
Because when they experience some bad shit in their life, they're like, oh, what the fuck, man? Positive vibes only, dude. What the fuck? I've been taught positive vibes only, and then all of a sudden you don't know how to handle shit.
Yep, and you just crumble under the slightest bit of pressure.
Yeah.
Oh God. Shit. There's totally something I was going to bring up, and I completely lost. This is why I wish every single person had a podcast, because this is a perfect way to sit and talk with other people instead of always just resorting to posting things on Twitter and getting into it with random people via text. It's super valuable and super important to me to be able to sit down and talk with another person about things like this. Because first of all, the people who are watching and consuming the content understand the emotion. They understand the context. Like if we were talking back and forth on Twitter and either of us said the word gay completely out of context, we would get torn apart 100%. But because people, but again, that goes back to people look to be offended. Like, don't be surprised if you look, if you're looking to be offended, you'll be offended. Yep. Yeah, it's great to be able to have a place to sit down and talk with other people, because it's really easy to just have a negative thought, pull out your phone, tweet said negative thought, and then get into it with a bunch of people about something stupid. And then the next day be like, wow, I don't even understand how I got here. And
that shit is draining trying to win an argument on the internet. It's just not worth it. I don't care. Like, whatever, dude. That's why I actually don't really respond to a lot of people on Twitter. And that I think I probably should be responding to more people on Twitter, but the whole like argument system, I just tweet my shit and move on. And I think it's just because of all those negative engagements that I've had in the past, and it's just drained me. It's like, I'd rather be focusing my energy on literally anything else than just fucking sitting here and just fighting with some neckbeard. It's just not worth it to me, man. Like, whatever, you're right. Bye. And it's just like, they don't understand the whole story. So it's easy for them to have a fucking opinion about it. And it's a waste of everybody's time. Honestly, nobody's a winner.
No, everybody loses in that aspect of, if that's what people are using their platform for, and that's what they go to social media for. Yeah, you're gonna have a really bad time
for sure.
As far as I like how you said how you have your community that kind of keeps you on a certain level. Was ego something that you had to check going from old BroBQ to new BroBQ?
I don't know. I feel like that's something you probably have to
ask everyone else.
Yeah, because like, I really don't think I have an ego anymore, at least. And some people would probably disagree with that. But like, the thing is like, you don't see every aspect of my life.
Right.
Like, you only see like a certain amount of hours out of the day, my life. And so, I mean, I personally really don't think that I have too much of an ego. I realize that there was a problem. I've recognized the problem. I've acknowledged the problem, and I've worked on fixing that. And I feel like that almost takes a lack of an ego to do.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. If you are self-aware, you're already like halfway out the door.
Yeah, exactly.
I
don't know. It's important to realize. And I don't think that there is too much ego involved.
Okay.
Personally.
Okay. Yeah. There's a lot of good reasons to have a community. And one of them, in my opinion, is you have a lot of people that have eyes on you. Sometimes that can be good. Sometimes that can be bad. But the one thing that I always tell my community is, please, God, keep me in check. Keep my ego in check. If you see some weird, off the wall, boastful, arrogant shit, I need you to point it out, because there gets to a point as a streamer where you're so in it, you're so within yourself, and you're in this routine that, you know, you lose sight of certain things and you make mistakes. So just how we see how probably most common with IRL streamers, where they do things so rambunctious and so like out of this world because they're just chasing like that next content high of doing something off the wall to try and get the views and to retain viewership. And then you look back and you go, wow, that was not fucking smart. That was not good at all. And like me personally, I think that I need help kind of keeping that in check, because when you're so in the moment, you say stupid things, you do stupid things, and I think it's extremely beneficial to have not only community, but, you know, a smaller circle of people that aren't afraid to hit you up and be like, hey, that was really fucking stupid. There was a time I was playing Roblox recently, and first of all, Roblox, awesome game. I was playing like the Counter-Strike version of Roblox, just like the deathmatch. Had an amazing time. And I was just kind of like screaming and yelling and playing. And I just screamed, I'm going to kill you in real life. And I obviously said it as a joke. But what I was quoting was that scene from The Office where Jim and Andy are playing Call of Duty. And he goes, I'm going to kill you for real, Jim. And I was kind of paraphrasing that quote from The Office. And of course, excuse me. I'm still getting over my TwitchCon flu. This hook in my throat hasn't gone away. I said it, didn't realize that I said it. And then after my stream, one of my mods, Mr. 42, hit me up and said, by the way, saying you're going to kill someone for real is probably not a great idea. And I know that, you know, you're usually pretty careful about the things that you say. And I remember reading that message and going, I didn't say that. I'm so careful. There's no way I said that. And then sure fucking enough, I said that, like plain as day. And I'm like, I cannot believe that after all of this time that I would say something so fucking stupid like that. And
yeah, but it's a mistake. And I mean, I feel like as long as it's not a common occurrence and you've recognized and you've like acknowledged it, then, you know, it's one thing to say sorry and it's one thing to say sorry and fix it. Right. You know, so I feel like as long as you're acknowledging it and, you know, you apologize, like it's, you know, we all say stupid shit. I say stupid shit all the time, but I don't think I've said stuff like that. You know, I don't tell people to kill themselves and shit, but you know, but yeah, I get what you're saying. Like we all just say dumb shit sometimes on accident, and it's real easy to pick it apart because you're live on the internet. You know, it's different if you're playing, you know, you're editing a video on YouTube, you know,
right.
You can just cut all that shit out, but live, like you're gonna get the bad. It's just plain and simple. You know, you're sitting in front of a game for 8 hours a day, whereas like a YouTuber can get up, play for 20 minutes, you know, get up, go do something, and then edit the video later. And it's very easy to do, but you know, it can be taxing throughout the day to play one game, especially if you're in a shit mood, have a headache, whatever.
Right.
Bound to happen.
Yep, it's going to happen at some point. We're not meant to sit at computers for that long and, and do one thing. Yeah. Going back to your therapist and them going in silence. I like when you started talking about that story, I kind of had an idea of where it was going. But one of the tactics, like I doing a podcast for so long, I've done a lot of research on like how to have a good podcast and how to carry natural conversation. And one of the things that I didn't really know was kind of a trick was to not respond to things immediately and to let silence go. And sometimes to let it go, you know, for 4, 5, 6 seconds. And even though it feels extremely awkward and it seems like every second is a minute, what you do is you eventually force the other person to respond to their own thing, to
elaborate,
right? To elaborate and to something that normally you would have responded right away and you would have gotten cut off. And I'm like, that is super interesting. And it's still something that I have a huge issue with, because when there's more than 2 seconds of silence, I'm like, but whether that is a product of us millennials just growing up. Well, are you a millennial? I don't think you're a millennial.
Yeah, I am.
You are? Okay. Whether that's just a product of our cell phones as young kids and ADHD and whatever the fuck they blame that on.
I had a cell phone. I had to buy a prepaid minute phone at 17. So I didn't really have a phone too often.
Okay.
But yeah, some people grow up with a phone in their hand, and I'm not going to hate on it because that's life. That's technology. That's what it's evolved into.
Yep.
Like that's the same thing as our parents not growing up with video games.
Right.
And then we grew up with video games. So, I think it's the same, but on a different level.
How long did you sit there and stare at each other before you piped up?
It felt like ages. I was like, that was at least 15 minutes. She's like, it was about 3 minutes.
Oh my God. 3 minutes is a long ass time.
Well, it's because like you expect to go into therapy and then like they ask about whatever's going on and you talk about it and it's just like there's this abrupt silence out of nowhere and like she's making eye contact with you and you're just kind of sitting there and then at a certain point after making eye contact with no conversation you're like I'm gonna look away and then now you start pacing around the room looking and you're like what the fuck is going on here, like what I'm wasting my time, like why did you randomly stop talking? Did you run out of shit? Did you forget how to do your job? Like, what's going on here?
I don't want to laugh, but this is the first time that I've ever heard of something like this. And I'm closing my eyes and I'm picturing you in a room and you're just going, what are we doing? Why do we stop talking? I
was genuinely ready to, I was like probably 30 seconds away from just leaving. And she was like, yeah, you look like you're about to leave. I was like, I was about to leave. But sure enough, there's a lesson behind it. And I feel like it was probably one of the more important lessons I learned that day.
Absolutely. So was it a feeling of anxiety or was it,
no.
or was it more of anger? Like I'm paying money for you to talk and you're not talking.
Yeah.
Interesting.
It was more of that. Anxiety. No, I mean, but it's just more or less like we're here to, help me fix me. And now all of a sudden we're just chilling here. And I'm like, okay, clock's ticking. I mean, she wasn't a garbage therapist either. She's just like, yes, she's very on the hour.
Yeah.
But like that hour is very involved and it's very educational. And all of a sudden out of nowhere, it was just like, the fuck are we doing, dude? Like, what is going on here? But again, it was a really important lesson. And it made me realize that, sitting in silence is necessary sometimes.
Absolutely.
And we always occupy ourselves, whether it's on our phone, background noise, music, whatever it is, filling your time with busy work. Dude, you got to take time to just sit there and collect your thoughts.
Were you ever somebody who had to fall asleep with music or TV in order to fall asleep?
Nope.
Okay. Have you ever had an issue falling asleep?
I do sleep with the fan. I do sleep with the fan on.
Okay, same.
I think it's just because like I get hot at night, but part of it's probably that noise too.
Oh yeah, absolutely. I mean, there's something eerie about complete silence when you're trying to fall asleep. And I don't think that's trying to keep your mind busy away from the scary thoughts. I think that's just like a comfortableness factor of there's no sound whatsoever and I can hear everything. I don't want to hear everything. I want to go to bed.
I hear everything. I hear a creak. I hear, my dog panting or something. I'm like, what the fuck is going on? Like, shut the fuck up.
We have a corgi and I think he's a chunker. I think he's anywhere from 20 to 30 pounds. But when he pants, the whole bed like shakes back. It like just very faintly shakes. It kills me. I'm like, Boba, please, God, stop panting. It's like 50 degrees in this house.
Well, for example, like my girlfriend's dog wears like a collar. Frankie doesn't. He's just a naked dog. But her dog, Winston, will wear a collar. And I mean, it's not even a big thing. Like she doesn't even think about it, but like sometimes he'll get up in the middle of the night and I'll hear the jingling of the leash or the collar, and I'm like, ah. So I like, she'll let me like take it off at night and stuff, but really at the end of the day, like it's not a huge deal, but that's just something to compare to.
Right. One of the last points I wanted to touch on, there was a tweet that went out today that was very ironic for me having you on this podcast today, because I think it kind of like coincides. And I'm one of the people that I hate getting into drama-filled tweet conversations with people. Like, I hate getting into threads where people are arguing and like nobody is seeing each other's side. It's like you said before, passive aggressive. It's a complete waste of time. I do, however, enjoy having Twitter to view certain tweets that people put out because I take them.
Juicy shit.
Oh, so okay. So you like it a little bit.
I like the juicy shit. I don't get involved though. Fuck all that, dude. I'll sit back and drink my tea and judge you silently.
Hey, as long as you realize it. So I take the tweets that I see that I'm genuinely curious of unpacking. And I have this channel in my Discord called the Hot Topic, to where I'll take the tweet, I'll post the tweet, and I say, what do you guys think about this? And then I get these perspectives from all these different people. And everybody always keeps it super cordial because it's not just all these random people chiming in on the internet. It's the people that are in my community who are respectable and I know that can have a calm, level-headed conversation. And and then what I'll do too is I'll take those tweets and I'll talk about them on stream and we'll kind of unpack them there too. So I've been doing this lately. I've been loving it. I encourage it. I do not encourage getting into these stupid fucking conversations on Twitter because, like we've talked about today, it will eat your life up. It will belittle you, and it's just a complete waste of time.
It's just everybody Googles everything. Oh, technically, and it's like, dude, okay, listen, shut the fuck up. All right, like we're like, just shut the fuck up, please. Like, I hate that. Like, everyone's got to be politically correct all the time.
No,
everyone's got to correct like every fucking tiny word you say, or well, technically what you said was wrong. I was like, well, technically I'm not a fucking smart man, and you just have to deal with that. Like, that's how it is sometimes, man.
I 100% agree. The one thing I forgot to bring up when we were talking about people in chat and people choosing the wrong words, the number one thing to set me off the edge is if people say, I've been looking at this puzzle, I've never played this game, and I already know what to do. I'm like, well, know what to do.
Shut the fuck up.
In a corner and get that ass banned, homie, because I don't fucking watch you here. That I don't know why.
A little salty today. I was doing a puzzle in Resident Evil 7. Like, one of the DLCs is a puzzle, and everybody wanted to fucking chime in. I'm like, shut the fuck up. Just shut the fuck up. Let me do the goddamn puzzle. Like, I'm bad at puzzles, but I like doing them sometimes because I don't know. It's just like, it's satisfying sometimes to like grow from learning how to do a puzzle, and everyone's really fucking quick. I don't care if you laugh at me, you know, because like I do stupid shit all the time. Like, that it is what it is. I'm not a smart man necessarily, but some people will just like really judge you, or like they backseat, and when you purposely don't follow it, they get even more pissed. It's like, listen, dude, you need to shut the fuck up. All right.
Yeah.
This is
I told you.
Yeah. And some people, most of the people, they're like, all right, my bad, you know, and we move on.
Right. But,
you know, sometimes motherfuckers are just like, oh, I can't believe he's not getting this. Oh, I'm like, yeah, bitch, you got a fucking guide in front of you, asshole.
You got Nintendo Power, you son of a bitch. Page 89.
Yeah, exactly. Just Googles it. Oh, it's so easy. The solution's so easy, lol.
Oh, that made me just think of Hellblade. Did you ever play Hellblade?
Yep.
Where you had to match up the symbols in the sky to create the one big symbol. That was the fucking worst.
I don't remember that one. I do know specifically having issues with I forget which Resident Evil, but in chat still hounds me about it to this day. Mixing colors. I don't fucking know why, dude. This puzzle was so god awful. Like, I had to read shit. I saw chat judging me. Colors were not making sense to me. It was just like, it was so fucking stressful, and you know, I just felt so stupid, but I don't give a fuck.
You got past it though. That's what matters.
I'm pretty sure chat helped me, because I was like, you know what? I'm over this. Like, I got chat sweating down my back, you know. But at a certain point, I'll just let them help.
Right. For the sake of the content, right?
Yeah.
All right. So this tweet that I saw today read as follows. I unfollowed a lot of people recently because something was said and was not confronted to me. If there's ever something wrong between you and someone, just message them. Don't completely disappear when you have been supporting. That shows your true character. What is your genuine first response to that?
Sorry. No. No. My girlfriend she's fucking with the Instapot. She's trying to fucking do the Insta release or whatever. It's like,
oh, I can hear it.
Yeah. I don't think it shows true colors necessarily. I think just at a certain point, like everybody has a certain point where they're just fucking over it.
Right.
You know, like sometimes like, people aren't always going to be confrontational. Like there are people that don't like confrontation, and that's life, man. It's just easier for people to silently fade away and just not deal with it. And I don't think you're necessarily wrong with that. Or, you know, I don't think you're wrong for that. I don't think it shows your true colors necessarily. Like there was this individual that I thought was my friend on Twitter, and you know, I was very nice to him, but he labeled me as a jock, and so he always thought I was like trying to be, you know, like condescending to him as like a gay guy or something. And yeah, like it was just like very off the wall. Like I've never judged someone for their skin color. I've never judged them on their sexual orientation. Never. I judged you on your personality and your character. And he just so happened to be a gay black man, and I've never judged him. I always thought he was a good friend. And he right off the bat, he labeled me as like a jock. And I was like, well, that's very unfair, but whatever, dude. Like, hey, listen, you know, this is me. Like, I genuinely like you as a person. You know, let's talk. But every time I ever interacted with him, he was always very sarcastic, catty, rude, cold-hearted. And at a certain point, I was like, you know what? Fuck this guy. I'm unfollowing him. And sure enough, the guy sees it, and he makes a subtweet about like, oh, well, I'm glad to have these people who like just because I'm gay. And it's just like he made this about something that it wasn't about. Like he never once like looked at it as like maybe it's just me and my personality.
Right.
It was immediately defensive. Like it's because I'm gay. I'm glad I have these people out of my life. And I really wanted to say something to him. But then I realized at the end of the day, like he's not going to see it from that perspective anyways. And it's just better to move on. Because so many people in this industry are really afraid to like unfollow other streamers or content creators and industry folk because they don't want to burn a bridge. But at the same time, if that's enough for them to burn a bridge, fuck them anyways, man. Like
absolutely.
It is what it is, dude.
Yep.
It is what it is. Like at the end of the day, man, if I'm not meant for this shit, I'm not meant for this shit, but I'm going to do it my way. Like I'm sure there are certain aspects that I need to change to be a better person or to be a better content creator or whatever. But at the same time, like I'm over it. I'm over the whole, you know, pretending to be your friend for a follow and all that shit. And, you know, that just comes down to like the tweet you're talking about is it doesn't show your true colors. Maybe they just don't want to deal with your shit. You know, people grow apart.
Yep.
Personalities change. Interests change. I don't want to hear shit about your politics. I don't want to hear shit. I don't even care about you talking about your religion as long as you're not pushing it on me. But the politics shit, I don't want to be a part of it, man. That's some shit. Like they're just, I don't like it. I don't like talking about it. There's plenty of people that will love to talk about it with you. But, you know, like it doesn't show your true colors necessarily. I don't think so. I don't think that's fair to say.
Did you find it easy to the person that subtweeted you? Did you find it easy to just walk away and move on at that point in time?
Absolutely.
Okay.
Yeah,
okay.
Because like I listen, I genuinely think I'm a good person. Like I'm a dick sometimes, but again, I'll phrase it again. I think I'm a fair dick. I honestly think at the end of the day, I'm a good person. I've made a lot of changes in my life to be a better person. And if people can't see that for what it is, then I don't like, that's fine. That's fine. But I'm not going to interact with you. It's not worth it. You're very catty. You're very drama driven. You always got an opinion on some shit, and I don't want to hear it. And you know, that's okay. Like there's always people that are willing to listen to that shit, but it's not me. And to hide behind the statement that it's because I'm gay, I think is very unfair, and it's very easy. And you know, it's very easy to dismiss the problem. Like maybe it was me. No, it's because I'm gay. It's because of my sexual orientation. This person unfollowed me. And no, that shows that you don't know how to solve problems.
Yeah, and for someone that tried so hard to just be around, like it wasn't even close to where I was. It's just, you know, some people, you know, they're just not meant to be around each other because of, you know, whether it's their, you know, how they feel. Like, you know, there's just some people that just don't vibe. Like their personalities just clash just so hard. That's just how it is. And it's better just to accept that kind of thing and move on.
Yes. And I used to be that way when I first started streaming. Is like, I gotta interact with everybody. You know, I gotta make sure we're on good terms. In reality, it's exhausting.
Yep.
It's not even doable. Just people will appreciate you for what you do, and that's it. You know, that's just That's just how it's going to be.
Absolutely.
You have to come to terms with that. Understand that no matter how good of a person you are or how much you do for this industry or community, it's still not enough for some people.
No, and that I don't think will ever change. I think that will always be kind of the stigma of being a streamer or content creator of any sort.
Yeah.
Word, dude. Well, I got everything out that I wanted to get out, and what I want to do is I just have one question that we got from chat that I'd love to answer, and then we can close this up. So I got a question. I didn't even copy who it was from. God damn it! I think I still got it here. From Street Ryu. For Bro, how difficult was it to get through the VA to get therapy?
Oh, I didn't go through the VA. The VA was god awful to do.
Really?
Yes, absolutely. They actually gave me a therapist with one person. It was a social worker. He was god awful at his job. The second I walked in, he was like, "Well, just let you know, if you don't like my therapy or anything, we could always find you someone else." And it was just like he was already pushing me out the door before I even got in. And I tried to find someone else, and there was nobody that was worth it. It's just like everybody fucking sucked. It was impossible to get through. It was not worth the time. And maybe your VA will be different, but I would honestly, if you're interested in seeking therapy, you got to look at a sliding scale system. Just Google therapists around me, sliding scale system, and you'll find therapists that will work with you based on your income. Like, you're going to pay out of pocket, but I would rather get quality therapy than some shithead social worker who doesn't even know how to do his job from the VA.
Right.
Because VA, like, yeah, whatever. It's free, but like, if it's garbage and it makes me leave feeling worse, then you're not helping yourself.
Was Google kind of your saving grace? Is that how you ended up where you are with your therapist?
Well, how it originally did for me was how I stumbled upon it was when I first ended my relationship, we decided to go to couples therapy. And, she was even essentially saying, like, maybe you guys should, like, separate. And I also talked about, like, how I had personal issues that I wanted to figure out. And she talked about the sliding scale system for solo therapy. And, like, that's how I stumbled upon it. I found someone very good. Very, 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 very good.
Okay.
An amazing person. And, again, I only paid $50 a session, which might still be a lot for people, but again, sliding scale system is based off of how your income too. So you might even be able to get it for cheaper, but it's always worth looking into because people automatically assume therapy is expensive and it doesn't have to be. Like, I got a very high quality therapist with many years of experience for, I would say, relatively cheap.
That is probably the cheapest therapy that I've ever heard of, to be honest.
Yeah.
That's very good price.
I was doing it twice a week for probably a month or two. And then at a certain point, she was like, your life has completely changed around. You're a completely different person in terms of like emotional stability and availability. And, I don't want to be wasting your time. Like, yeah, we could sit here and talk, but for what you came in here for, you're a completely different person. I think you're done.
Wow. Was that like, how was that to hear? To know that they wanted you to go down to one session a week because of how much, difference they had seen.
It was one session a week. And then like a week of one session, I think it was like a week or two. She was like, you don't even need to come in anymore. Like you can, if you want, but it's your money. And I feel like you've gotten your money's worth out of here. Like it's, she never pushed me out the door, but she made me aware that like for what I came in for, I succeeded. And It felt really good because like I felt accomplished too. I felt like I got my money's worth. And it wasn't even really about money at that point, but like I felt genuinely like fulfilled.
Right. And that's what matters at the end of the day,
Absolutely. I mean, to be able to look at yourself from the outside looking in and just reevaluate who you are and where you've come from. And it's great because like all my shitty BroBQ moments are like still documented. I can't go back and look at them, but they're saved. And anybody who ever comes to my stream is like, you're real fucking negative, man. Or like, they have like this completely jaded opinion of me. I encourage them to go look at my shit from 2-3 years ago. And you go look at that shit and you look at me now and it's like night and day. It's completely different. And anybody who's watched me for more than like a year can vouch for that.
Absolutely. I mean, when I first started refollowing you on Twitter and then I started checking out a couple of your streams, even I was like, holy shit, this is not the same person that I remember from years and years and years back. And I was like astonished, and I was also impressed. I was like, holy shit, I didn't even know that this much of a change in a single person. And while, like years is a long time, years is also kind of a short time, depending on how you look at it. I'm like, I feel like I'm not even watching the same person. It was crazy.
I feel like a different person though, too. I mean, like, again, I'm always going to have my bad days. And I think the important thing I want people to know is that there are far less of those bad days. I think that's the important thing to realize is like before it was like bad days all the time.
Right.
Some days were just easier than others, but like those bad days that I get are just so far and few between now that like, you're no longer sitting in that tunnel. Like you're exiting that tunnel and like you're actually seeing the light now, and like you're able to enjoy things that you didn't think you could enjoy.
For sure. All right, dude. Well, that's all I got for you tonight. What I want you to do is just kind of like do a quick recap of what you have going on your channel. If you want to throw out any of your social media, what kind of streams you have coming up, and we'll close this bitch down.
All right. Well, I do variety. I stream Sunday through Thursday, noon to 8 p.m. CDT. And this month we're doing horror month, so we're doing spooky games all month. But typically we do variety. Lots of shenanigans.
Lots of shenanigans. What games have you already beaten, spooky wise?
Well, you're literally asking me to remember what I've beaten in the past week, and that's just not fair.
I'm sorry. I should have known better. Chat.
I don't know, man. Like I gotta sit here and access my already small memory bank, so it's just like what did we fucking beat recently? I don't know, Resident Evil, but what was before that? I don't even know what we beat before Resident Evil. I don't even. Oh yeah, Darkwood, Visage. Yeah.
Okay. How was Visage?
It was good. First chapter is like I did the second chapter first somehow. And that one was like 5-6 hours long, but the first chapter is like an hour.
Interesting.
So yeah. But it was a good game. Good game. They still have like a third chapter coming out, but it was pretty solid.
Okay. All right.
I would honestly say it was probably the closest you're ever going to get to PT. That was never released.
Ooh, okay. That's good to know. My girlfriend tried playing it, and I think she gave up after like an hour. She said it was too much for
her. It's definitely a lot.
Okay. Good to know.
Yeah.
Oh, man. All right, BroBQ, it was fantastic having you on the show. I really appreciate you taking some time out of your day, especially after an 8-hour stream to come on here and talk a little bit more.
Yeah, I appreciate you having me, man.
Absolutely, dude. All right, chat, everybody that came through and anybody listening in the future, I really appreciate you checking out the podcast. We hope you have a fantastic rest of your night. If you want to stick around to rate another channel and throw some support somebody else's way, I would really appreciate that. But regardless, I'll be back streaming next week. We will also have another episode of the podcast next Sunday, and that's going to be with Middle Age Stream. And we have two other special guests. We're going to be talking about kind of the changes that got announced at TwitchCon, Adpocalypse, and everything in between that. So again, thank you guys so much for hanging out with us. We hope you have a wonderful night, and we'll see you later. Bye, BroBQ.
Bye.
Bye. Bye.